If you are new to YouTube and you're wondering whether or not you should go really specific on a niche, today's guest, Marty Ware from Marty's Garden, is going to be sharing how he's done just that and built his YouTube channel to over 40,000 subscribers. Actually, I think it's over 43,000 subscribers at the moment. And his channel's focused all on organic gardening and specifically worm farming. Marty's channel is where I personally learned how to start my own worm farm. So I'm super stoked to have him here today to teach us what he knows about YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, Marty. I'm so stoked to have you on the channel. To get us started, it'd be so awesome to just hear a little bit about your own personal backstory, Marty.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me on, Claire. It's a real honor. And there's not many Aussies that I meet that are YouTubers. So for me, it's exciting. And I predominantly see myself more now as a YouTuber than an organic farmer, gardener, so to speak. And so the interesting part is my backstory. If we keep the formula very short, I've worked in sort of agriculture, horticulture, the surfing industry, and also in my younger years, I think like a lot of people worked in hospitality, but I ended up 15 years or something in hospitality. Did a trip to Thailand, was living there for 5 years, running a surf school. My daughter was born there. We come back to Australia. Everything had changed in the 5 years. It was crazy. And I couldn't find anywhere to live or even rent or anything. It was really difficult. So we ended up in this little apartment and just me and my daughter. And I started gardening again to save some money for growing food and things, and just thought, oh, wow, this is really cool. And I think I'm going to film this to document my life with me and my daughter in this small apartment in Tweed Heads and see how much food we can grow, And so I already had a website called World Board Riders Club in Thailand for surfing. So I was working on the two. And then I built another website called Small Space Gardening and Homes, which was the only small space gardening website in the world about 14 years ago. So I had the number one position because no one else really did it other than people using a few free sites like a blogger or something like that. So, yeah, I just started doing that, filming the journey. And then it sort of changed more into the side of things of like micro farming and my passions and what I sort of desired to do, developing a micro farm and selling microgreens. And if you watch the story in this, you'll understand where these faults and good things have happened. So the backstory is super important, right? And so then I went, unfortunately, I got quite ill. I was running a couple of other businesses, a gardening business. I had the gardening business. I was running an SEO business with staff in the Philippines. Also a cleaning business because our SEO businesses were doing so well around cleaning that the phone never stopped ringing for cleaners. So, we had a cleaning business. And then unfortunately I got sick and I moved away from my hometown of Byron Bay to another smaller town on the mid-north coast of Australia called North Haven. Reset myself back up again, got well again, and started filming again. And I was doing sort of some worm farming stuff and met up with some worm farmers and different things. And those videos started really sort of exploding and doing the best for me that others were. And one of the concepts is when you're a YouTuber is to provide the audience that the people are watching the most. And this could be also coming into these questions that you're going to be asking me because I've read the questions already. It'll all come together. So stay tuned on it, guys, and you'll see how this story unfolds. And you'll learn from someone who's been doing it for many years part-time, I think 12 years now, and 2 years part-time, full-time, sort of. And I think you'll get a lot of value out of it and go, oh, so glad I learned that. So hopefully that helps. Quick backstory, not too long, because, oh, man, I could drag it out forever.
Oh, that's so good. If you are watching during the live stream, thank you so much for being here. It's so awesome to have people here to chat with. And if any questions come up, we're going to have a bit of time at the end to get through to them. So pop them in the chat. And also, it'd be really, really cool to know where in the world you're watching from. I know we've got Fit Dad Chris in here from the States. It's so, so cool to have you here. Where else is everyone watching from? And yeah, we'll get into some of these questions here. So you've probably been on YouTube for a little bit longer than a lot of the people who'll be watching, Marty. You've been on for like 12 years, yeah, you just said.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, like, where's your channel at now? Like, how are the views now? How does it compare to, when you just first got started?
Okay.
What's
so
the
when
journey been like?
Yeah, well, that's a great question actually, and happy to answer it. The look, YouTube was a different beast many years ago, and it was it's a whole different animal. It's nothing like it is today. The content that was on there was really poorly filmed. No one knew how to film anything except they get a camera and go, "Hey, how's it going?" You had to use a little handy cam, Then you had to get on an editing machine. You had to edit it, and so there wasn't tutorials on how to do that, all that stuff like there is now. You just got in there and had a go. And for me, it was like, oh, okay, I just want to document anyway, and then I'll try and pass on some value to people and some lessons and things like that.
Yeah.
So as you sort of progress through, the technology's gotten better. It's gotten easier to do. And so what's happened is there was these massive audiences that would watch anything that you put out, basically.
Yeah.
This is before monetization come out onto YouTube and things like that. And so, yeah, you would get quite big numbers quite easily compared to now. You come out, like, the honest truth is you could have the best video in the world. You come out tomorrow with it, put it on YouTube, and it may only get 5 views. This is the honest way that this algorithm works. Unless you've got a way to bring an audience in from somewhere else and go, hey, watch my video. You've got to just be super productive. So I just kept on filming. Then I thought, hey, it's getting better here on YouTube. Go to film school for a little while. Went 9 months at film school. Wasn't able to complete.
Where'd you do that?
In Lismore at the TAFE there. I was doing a Cert 4, and then I was going to move into a diploma, but because I wasn't well and different things, and it wasn't going so good for me at that time, I had to pull out. So, but I'd love to get back to it. But so you can see that people are getting much better. So what's happening is if you're just starting out, you just need to start with what you got, but don't expect too much. This is the thing. Our expectations are too high. You actually need to expect less. This is the answer. And people don't want to hear that. They go, well, I'm going to leave right now. I don't want to watch the rest of the video. But you'll understand why when I answer the rest of the questions that are coming up. So, yeah, you've really got to keep people engaged these days. And that's the trickiest part. And that's what I'm finding the hardest right now.
Yeah. Do you mind if I share a little snippet from one of your very first videos, Marty?
Okay. Yeah.
Is that all right? I've thrown you straight into it. Let's
no, I'm not watching.
Let's have a look. Let me know if this so here's Marty's channel. It's so good. I've watched so many of these videos and I've learned so much about how to take good care of my worm farm. But something I really love doing when I discover a YouTuber that I love, and Marty's making really amazing quality videos now. I love to do a little bit of an old sort from the oldest to the newest and see like where the journey began. And I don't know, let me know, can you hear this?
This is something that you can do where you're lacking a bit of space. You can sort of semi-bonsai them and they'll fruit really quickly. And you won't get as many fruit, but you will get some a little bit faster. So it's one way to actually produce, get a couple of fruits before your bigger ones come on, and you just throw them in the area.
I just think it's so good. I just think it's so good. Could you hear the audio on that? I could. Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Could you hear the audio on that? I'm still learning how to use StreamYard. It's such an awesome service. But yeah, that's so cool. I love seeing the journey and seeing like you just kept making videos. You just kept making heaps and heaps of videos. And now you're at 43,000 subscribers. It's growing. It's thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, we've got Kirby enthusiast in the house who I did a live stream with a few weeks ago. Check that out after this. Reminds me of my first videos. It's so cool. It's so cool to see the journey. I just find it, as a fairly new YouTuber, really, really inspiring to see that. So yeah, Marty, you have such a clear niche on your channel, and I know that can be really helpful for YouTube growth in general. How was it that you decided I'm going to be the worm guy?
It's interesting because I don't really want to be the worm guy. This is the
oh no,
shock horror, right? But I'm infatuated with organic gardening and sustainability. And the only way you can produce an organic fertilizer that has similar properties to, say, the microbiology that's in the ground that feeds the plants already is through worm farming, and you just use it by using your own waste. And so it's just such a good money saver. And I started many years ago at the beginning for those exact qualities that we're talking about. I could save money, I could produce my own fertilizers, and liquid fertilizers everything. And I didn't have to be a slave to going to buying chemical fertilizers, which I don't like anyway. So so it just naturally evolved because, like, you can hear it in my voice as soon as I talk about it, I get excited, even though I say I didn't want to be. My predominantly wasn't to head down the path of being a worm farming channel until I've decided, okay, I think this is the direction that I can take, that I can share a lot of value with people and actually help make it some type of change. So, the thing is, the one reason why I say I didn't want to be the worm farming guy is because there's not much money in it. That's why you don't see much of it. It's plateaued up and down on the sort of like the way that people sort of engage with it for years. And it's only probably going to accelerate from now on because of the whole green movement and the green waste movement and things like that. But yeah, this is where you've got to be careful, where you've got to decide what you want to make and your choices of what channel you're going to do. And there's a few reasons around that. So hopefully I didn't skip off the question too much. Was I on track with that?
Yeah, I reckon you're on track with that. Talking about having a clear niche and how you decided on yours, and how you perhaps don't necessarily want to be in that niche, which I think is it's so, yeah, I think that's totally.
So just to finish it off then, so I just want to make sure I didn't sort of slide off in another direction. When I had sort of some really popular worm farming videos, I just started making some more, and people enjoyed them and liked them. And then I was getting lots of questions and feedback. And so I thought, I'll just make some more on those. And then it got to a stage where a lot of the time I was sort of like, I wouldn't use the word regurgitating because that's not the right word, but I was producing similar content sort of over and over. And I'm super creative. Like, ever since I was a young boy, just loved being creative. And I found that I sort of been locked in with my creativity because I can only go so far. And the further I take it, the audience doesn't really want it. They want a certain type of piece of content. And so you've got to you create this revolving loop. And that's one of the important things about YouTube, is actually creating this revolving loop. So something maybe I'll answer further along in this line of questions. But yeah, if you get something, you find something and you get some traction on it, sometimes it's good to follow that and sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Did you have a specific plan with your YouTube channel when you first got started? And like, how's that evolved over the years?
It was just to document. And now I'm thinking about going back and going, hey, I've lost because if you look at business, you have, there's a few different things about it and life. And one of them for me is the big word WHY. Why? Why do you do it? What is your reason? Why? And so my biggest why was, because I'm a single dad, was I need to work at home and take care of my daughter, be at home, because I didn't have much family around, and I lived a long way away from everyone in my family and stuff. And I didn't want to move back. I like living on the coast and the countryside. I didn't want to move back to the city, and cities a bit expensive and the whole lot. So my big why factor was, right, if I can get really good at this, I can actually make a living from home and fill that why factor, and then document, and at the same time document my life, and so I can look back at it. And that's one reason why I said about the worm farming thing is I've slidden away from documenting my life other than documenting what I do with compost worms. So that worries me a bit, because I've steered away from my why. But I'll work that out. It's just a matter of process. Life's just like that, right? We're just confronted all the time with different things, and yeah, it's something I've got to accept.
Yeah, for sure. You did lots of stuff with your daughter in the beginning. Is she like, she's like a teenager now, right? Is she still into it?
15. She doesn't like being on camera anymore.
Yeah, right.
Not much. She's moved off in different directions and doing different things. She was really great at first.
Yeah.
Going back, she's just gold holding, because she's like a naturalist, right? So she would hold lizards and frogs and butterflies, anything. And she would catch them and grab them and whatever, and I was like that when I was really young too. So now, and even now, she'll go down the beach and catch a crab, like a big thing that most people would be scared of, me hanging onto it. She's in the marine science, and so she's more in that direction now. And she's pretty shy, so she doesn't like to be in front of the camera anymore.
Yeah. It's such a precious thing that you have, though, like now forever. Like these beautiful videos of like all this fun stuff that you did together when she was a kid. I think she's going to be so stoked to look back on that over the years. It's so lovely. So yeah, what are some strategies, Marty, that you've used in the growth of your channel that you think maybe might be universal for other YouTubers?
For everyone, a strategy to grow the channel. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we looking at someone like at the beginning stages or middle stages, or like?
I reckon like we'll go with at the beginning stages, like maybe the first couple of years. We actually have a question here from Nate that kind of relates here. Do you find you need to be more narrow at the beginning? That might be interesting to answer here.
Okay, so
thanks so much for being here, by the way, Nate.
Yeah, good to meet you, mate. Nate. I'll answer that question in a second. I think what we need to do, we need to be very clear and specific, more so than, like I said before, YouTube was a different beast before, right? I could produce a video about a tomato plant, then I could go out and produce one about some parsley, then I could go and do one about a fruit tree, and then I could go do it and sort of move along those lines. There's still YouTubers that do that, right? But you watch them, they'll have formulas where they go 7 tips to do this, 7 tips to do that, 10 tips. This is the way to grow the biggest of that. They follow those formulas. And so the audience understands that that's what they're going to get. Yeah. They know that this is why I watch this guy for that. And so it's a really good idea at the beginning to obviously start out and practice and put videos out, but to have a game plan and decide what structure you're going to have. So when your visitor comes and arrives, he comes back, because that's going to accelerate your YouTube watch time. So YouTube watch time is the longer you hold someone on the video for, keep them engaged and keep them moving them from video to video. As you're doing that and you're building this structure, you are then building a format of a library where you're going to keep people on your channel. So that's the thing that we need to think about. Okay, what's going to be our format? What's going to be our formula? How are we going to keep people watching longer, and not to diversify too much? Now, I'll give you an example. I see people do this all the time. They'll have a gardening channel, and next week they're showing themselves going sailing, and they don't. It's just sailing, right? And so you've totally given your audience something else. You've confused the algorithm. And people look at it and go, hang on, man, I was just learning about greenhouses, and now you're taking me sailing. confusion, you know what I mean? So you really got to stay on track. The more you stay on track on the pathway of your clear direction of where you're going to, the better you will do. So, and the thing is, like, some people disagree on this with me, but I did a course recently with Screen Australia, New South Wales, and we covered a lot of this stuff. And generally, people say, well, why don't we do a series? And then they'll come and watch the next one. YouTube doesn't work like that anymore. You might watch a video 4 years ago, then they'll give you the latest one. Then they'll go, hey, watch this one from 2 years ago in your suggested and where you're going. Until you get the audience really rolling, you've got to sort of provide the video that's going to hook them and then give them an ending at the end in that video and then try to entice them to move. So structure, keeping similarity. Hopefully I'm not getting off track again here because my brain just gets...
That's great.
I'm very analytical in this stuff. So, yeah. So hopefully, what was the question? The question again. So I just want to make sure I help.
No one knows. No. Asked what are some strategies that you've used in the growth of your channel? So the strategies, following a clear.
Okay, so the strategies are now more having that sort of like that clear direction of understanding where my videos are going to next, sort of thing. So understanding, going, okay, well, I'm going to produce. Actually, a really good one for beginners is a series. Okay, so you might say, for example, you're doing growing tomatoes or something like that. You might do the first one would be growing about the seeds, all different types of seeds. Then the second one would be about your pots. What are the best pots for growing tomatoes in? You're answering questions and solving a problem, right? Solution in each video. Then the next step would be, okay, how do we raise a tomato plant? What's the 7 best ways to raise a tomato plant? Something like that. And then, the next one might be how to plant the tomato plant in a pot. So you're showing the series of, these videos right through. Or you can cut them up into short ones, or you can make one longer one, sort of thing. And then create this sort of development. And people want something that will provide value right through and then give them a result. And that's one of the hardest things to do, to be honest. But that's the best way to get the growth, keep people engaged, and provide the value.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of people can be really nervous about like sharing that they have a YouTube channel. They might feel embarrassed to have people at work find out what they're doing or whatever. And you have you've got this awesome ute that is, I think in the States, what do you call that? Is that a truck? Is that a truck or a ute? We call it a ute here. Absolutely covered in your branding, which is so awesome. Have you always been? Yeah, it's so good. Have you always been like this confident about sharing with people what you're doing?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like maybe only really about last 2 years, I've actually, when I made that decision, gone, okay, I'm going to take this on more, like become a YouTuber. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not predominantly, I think I said this to you maybe off before we started, I'm not predominantly a gardener / worm farmer, organic, which I am. I see myself as, but predominantly I see myself more now as a content creator, YouTuber. I never call myself an influencer, even though I know I do influence people in their decisions and what they do and things like that, which is, I feel blessed to be able to do that. But no, I felt very uncomfortable for a very long time. And if people ask me what I did, I just say, I just do organic farming. And I run a show on YouTube teaching people how to do that. So I predominantly would say I'm an agricultural horticulturist in organics. And so now people ask me, they say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a YouTuber and I run an online gardening show about about sort of organic gardening and worm farming. Like, oh, right, okay. It's more accepted now. Before, even 2 years ago, I remember I brought a video out about it, telling people I was moving that direction. I got heaps of thumbs downs and people's bad comments. Yeah, it was brutal, bad comments, the whole lot. And I just thought, well, you know what? I don't care. because my wife act was so big as well, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still in the same position now. My daughter's still at home, and she needs someone to take care of her still, even though she's 15. She's still got a way to go yet, right? So, yeah. So now I feel comfortable saying that. And I think any of us should feel comfortable about that now, and not sort of hold any of that. I don't know if it's tall poppy syndrome, but just to sort of, like, just go, hey, it's part of what I do and who I am.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone who's watching live, if you've got a YouTube channel, is that something that you struggle with? Let us know. It's I have found it challenging at points, but I also just think it's so important just to, punch fear in the face and just hit record, do the things that frighten you, and just, let people know what you're doing. So have you found, Marty, because of your branding, you've got your awesome, I've got a little close up of you here with this amazing shirt that you're wearing at the moment. I love it so much.
I pulled the camera down a bit so people could see.
Yeah. It's so good. Have you found that branding having it and being public about it, do you think it's brought people to your channel?
I think it's had good and positive effects to the channel. Obviously, it helps produce the branding side of things when I'm producing content, stuff like that. I've had people write to me and say, why are you doing that? Like, you're wasting too much money on this, and I'm like, well, mate, like, look at companies, they're everywhere. Everyone's doing it. It's all about getting attention. And to be honest, like, I'm sort of like, I'm like this like mini celebrity in town sort of thing, so to speak. People call out my name who know who I don't know, things like that. Say good day to me and stuff like that. Like, I was down the beach the other day surfing, one of the beaches down the coast. And then there was like this shout out somewhere, oh, go down the beach and see Marty from Marty's Garden. He's down there surfing at the moment, things like that. So it's not, it's not every day, but so it's helped in that regards of build up my personality of who I am. I don't know so much about, like, as far as making sales and those type of lines, because some people look at it, go, oh, yeah, I get people stop on the road and go, hey man, can you mow my lawn for me? So they don't know, what I mean? It's not sort of showing exactly who I am, other than it just says Marty's Garden, YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I think it's super inspiring. And so do you mow people's lawns when they call out to? No,
I don't even mow my own lawn.
I've got a comment here from Fit Dad Chris, who's an awesome YouTuber, does lots of live streams for, to fit dads. At first, maybe a little, but it went away fairly quickly. I went around the gym and would ask people to subscribe for a little while until I gathered several people from the small gym I go to. That's so cool. And are they people that come and watch your live streams and participate, Chris? That's so brave, I think, and awesome. Good on you. And we've got a question.
That is brave. Good on you, mate.
Yeah, it's so good. Making sense of debt. Hello, thank you so much for being here. At what point would branding be a good investment? Would you recommend a newbie do it right away? If not, what point is a good point?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, is that all right?
Depends on your budget, right? So you got to be very careful, because like that, you hear this a lot from YouTubers that have this type of content. They say that it's not a sprint, it's a long game sort of thing. So what do you call it when you run a long race? A marathon, right? And it is really, it's more of a long game. That's what I was saying. Don't expect less than more at the beginning, and you'll always do a lot better. And that sounds like I'm being negative, but I'm not. I'm actually putting a positive spin on that to sort of help you with your mindset. And so I think sort of like as the animal becomes more, some ways it becomes more TV orientated, we need to actually stand out a little bit more. And I think that's coming in one of the questions coming up about standing out, whether we get to that. But yeah, you need to stand out. And if you can afford to stand out and you're prepared that your YouTube channel doesn't succeed, that you are prepared to lose the money that you invested. I've started a few businesses and I've lost that investment. And but I'm prepared when I make that investment, like my skateboarding coaching business. It didn't go through. It could have, and it still could, but I've decided to just hold back and go, okay, well, I think I've lost on that investment for the moment and possibly even into the future.
I think that's really awesome advice. It's, good not to, if you don't have the money for it, then wait until your channel's making some money. That's not financial advice though, anyone.
Yeah. There are some other ways though. There are some other really funky ways that you can do this cheaply. Is you can actually like make things, make your own props, make your own stuff. Like I paid a lot of money for this shirt. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. The car was a freebie. A sponsor guy did it for me, right?
Wow.
I paid for the sign behind me. The car was a sponsor. And so, if you're not afraid to ask, then it won't come. But you can, obviously I had around about 35,000 maybe subscribers in when I asked for that sponsor. And he actually didn't even really want much from it. He was just glad to help, which blew me out even more. So hats off to Hampton Haven Signs in big shout out for them because they did that for me. Yeah, they did that for me. I paid $80 for these shirts. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you go out and spend that type of money on something like that quickly, but you can make your own little props and understand your color schemes and things like that. Like I use green, blacks, and whites and a little bit of brown. That's the colors I stick with. So understand your color schemes, try and get some type of continuous type of branding of similarity and just do it cheap. Like you can write stuff on your hand and things, and make little stickers and be inventive, save money at the beginning, I reckon.
Yeah, that's such good advice. Now, I see that we've got a couple of questions in the chat, and I am remembering that I promised Marty I wasn't going to get to those questions until we got through these questions that we've prepared some answers for. So keep those questions coming through. I'm so grateful to have everyone here. It's so lovely and awesome. But we'll jump back into these. And then we'll get to those. It'll be beautiful.
Okay.
What are the three biggest mistakes you've made or you've seen other people make on their YouTube channels, Marty?
Oh, I think I mentioned before is just putting content that's not relevant. So keeping a similar story or a similar outline of what people subscribe to, having too much difference. And even like gardening now is really hard. Like you do one thing about tomatoes and the next thing's about avocado trees. The YouTube algorithm doesn't work so good. You're better off just doing avocado trees or just doing tomatoes. So I would recommend just sort of staying with that and sort of not diversifying too much. But get niche down more than they go too broad these days. You could go broad years ago, but yeah, so niching down and changing what your channel topic about. That's what I did. There was 3 changes. But as I said, I started right at the very beginning of YouTube. And there wasn't this information out there. We didn't understand the algorithms. We just did what worked then. And it didn't really help my channel long term, so to speak. So you might pick up a subscriber about a video about tomatoes, right? And then you produce one about avocados. And he goes, oh, but I didn't subscribe for avocados. I subscribed because I'm learning how to grow tomatoes. And instantly you've lost that
interesting
attention.
Yeah, because I would have thought, and obviously I'm really new to YouTube, but I would have thought that, tomatoes and avocados aren't that far apart. I would have thought tomatoes and surfing would be, that's pretty different, but it's it's within the gardening niche. But you reckon even go tighter than that?
You just can't beat the big boys anymore. And I'm not a big player, right? Obviously
Or
I've got more subscribers than most, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they've subscribed for many different reasons, right? So in all reality, if I did what I'd preached here, because I learned right from the beginning, and like I said, I've learned the hard way, I would have 1 million plus subscribers, no problem now, easily, maybe in the millions without even saying this humbly, right? But because I just sidetracked and dodged and went so many ways, A lot of my subscribers, even now, will watch a microgreens video because I've got lots of videos on microgreens. They're not going to watch my worm farming videos. They don't return. So we need to keep them revolving. You need to keep them returning. You need to build their lust. I said lust. Where'd that come from? You need to build their. You need to build
their lust for worms.
Their trust. Their trust.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can sort of work with them more that way, because you might want to bring a product forward or something like that. You've got the trust and likability factor, which I have big time, but it's like because I'm honest about what I do. But like I said, I've got so many variations. I don't get a lot of return things. And my channel is actually going backwards a little bit at certain times of the year because of that.
So if you were to start over, is that what you would do differently?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple of different channels I'm testing at the moment, and probably not good to mention them because people go over there and just have a quick look, and then that hurts your channel. They go, oh, I'll see what Marty's doing. And they go, oh, yeah, boring. And then YouTube sees, oh, a little bit, 5 seconds watch time. That video must suck. So you really want to get the right viewers, the right people looking at your thing. Like, even if you tell your friends, they'll go, oh, yeah, I'll watch it. And they go, oh, man, I'm not into fishing channel, boring. And so they instantly hurt your channel. So don't do it. Get the right eyeballs on your new videos and get directly to the audience where it needs to go, and YouTube will notice that. So that's what I'm doing with my newer channels, is I'm very specific about the content that I'm creating and the people that are looking at it. And I'm only going for the audience that I know will watch those videos.
Yeah. It's such good advice, because there's so much of this sub for sub, and people subscribing because they think that's helping, and it's like, oh, actually it's heaps better if you don't subscribe, actually. And you want to go and help people out, and I want to do that as well, for sure. But it's like, if you're not there for the long haul, it's not helpful to subscribe. And I think a lot of people don't understand that from the beginning. It's really damaging, because the way YouTube works is it pushes your video out to the first people it pushes it out to, just a selection of your subscribers. And if none of those people click on it, the video is dead. And so don't try and make people subscribe. But normally, it's a really good point, because normally I tell people, go and check out Marty's channel, give him some love, watch some of his videos, and definitely watch some of his videos, but go and check it out. Only subscribe if you're into worm farming.
Watch the videos if you're into worm farming or gardening. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's such good advice. So what is next for Marty's garden? What's your vision for Marty's garden, and what steps are you kind of taking?
The next is actually, it's been a vision for a while, is to actually, we need to get overseas into Southeast Asia. I mean, developing all these systems now based around the worm farming and composting to help in places that have got they're very poor, and help them put these systems together to grow their own food. So there's another big why behind it, and hopefully we're going there this year at some stage to have a poke around. But so hopefully that's going to happen, and I'm morphing in the other channels to mix into that, so I can play in together. So that's
awesome. So what are some of the ways that you have monetized your channel, Marty?
I basically develop my own products, and then I promote my products in the videos. Yeah. So like the composting and things like that. When I had the microgreens, I sold to restaurants, and so I would show people what I'm growing. I used to run around selling to houses and things. And so, you'd have videos, what's in the box and stuff like that. Yeah. So I always produce this content about what I'm doing, provide tips and value, and then show in the background people getting my products, or me selling the products, or the product development and selling products that way. Even with my worm farming ebook, same thing.
And so you have your members area on your YouTube channel as well. Can you, because I think you only can access that once you get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, I think. Is that
I
right?
think it used to be, well, when I did it was 25,000, I think you had, but I think they've changed it down.
Wow.
They're changing it all the time. So I think it's a good thing to have. Yeah, I think if you can do it and you can keep people what they call stickiness, so keep people inside there, keep providing them extra value. The tricky part is not sharing that part inside your channel, which is to the public, and keeping some separate. And a few people go, well, I've got to pay for that now. And you go, no, but you know, I've got to make a living somehow. So I'm sorry, I just can't give that to you. That type of content. I basically have all my harvesting stuff. I teach people how to harvest the worms and harvest the castings and set up worm farms really fast, and all the little intricate bits of how to do it quickly and run it efficiently without having to watch all the videos. So you just go in and you can watch it all and learn. You know, within a couple of hours, you can be a master worm farmer. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who doesn't want to be a master worm farmer?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Many actually. They're scared of them.
Yeah, right. Fair enough. I love them. They're so lovely little creatures. Beautiful.
Yeah,
bloody beautiful.
Yeah.
So what are 3 tips, Marty, that you have for people who are just starting out? So people who are in like their first kind of, from day one to the first kind of couple of years.
Okay. You know, you've got to be passionate about what you do. Don't do it. If you're doing it just for the money, do something else. Basically, that would be obviously my best tip for you. Unless you got a big, massive why like me, and you don't have freedom of choice, and you're just going to persevere. But people will see that in your content, so it's a bit of a tricky one to do. Be consistent and don't think like, oh, that's not going to be any good today. Like this morning, I went out and shot a video down early morning sunrise with a couple of people, and it didn't come out as good as what I expected. We didn't have all the things happen that want to happen, but I produced this little 1.5 minute video that will go on one of my new channels that might even get watched. But as I was doing the edit, I learned something. I've gone, oh, wow, that looks great. Story moving from that part to that part. I'll be able to use that again. So I've learned a little bit, even just by getting out of bed and everything didn't come together. So the more that you create and the more that you produce, the more you see and the better you get at it. So the faster you go and the more you do. And don't be afraid to go, oh, that's not so good in the beginning. Just put it up anyway. Let the audience decide, because sometimes you're not right. Actually, a lot of the time you're not right. Hopefully that answers 3. I think that's sort of the best way. Consistency would be the third one.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll jump into some questions if you have any questions for Marty or for me or whatever. If you got a question about worms, you know, how to grow your YouTube channel, pop them in the chat in the comments section. We'll answer some of those. We've got one here from Nate. This is going back to the niche sort of stuff. Marty, some topics are really broad. For example, I do finance. Does it make sense to just narrow down to, let's say, only budgets or only crypto or only investing, even though those are all finance? I'm really interested to hear your opinion on that one. That's
what I would, if I was doing something like this, I would actually find, say, for example, like, now don't take this as an exact method, right? But so, for example, if I choose crypto, I would find 3 problems in crypto, and then I would look at how I can solve them, find the answers for them. Then I would create my content around that sort of thing, you know. So I'd become, so for example, like I'm really interested in precious metals. So if I was to do something like in precious metals, I'd probably cover silver and gold, something like that. And then I'd be looking at maybe, going, okay, copper's rising at the moment. Copper's, you know, like, and then I'd sneak copper in, or I'd sneak, you know, something else in the sort of along those lines of precious metal. So things always work good in 3s. So that would be the direction I would take. And that way you don't splinter out too much. Create a mind map for yourself. And so you would put copper, silver, gold. And then you would maybe go to copper and create a little, if you don't know what a mind map is, look it up. And that way you'll just go, wow, laser focused, arranged content, everything. The mind map, but probably one of my best tips is to create a mind map for your YouTube channel.
Mind map.
A mind map.
A mind map.
A mind
awesome.
map.
look
Do you
it
know what a
up.
mind map is?
I don't know what a mind map is.
Okay, I'll give you a quick
Can
little
you briefly
rundown.
explain it?
Yeah. So say, for example, you've got, now this has got nothing to do with pyramid selling or anything like this. Is how my father's a public speaker. He teaches me a lot of stuff. I've been blessed with that. But say, for example, you've got a triangle. The old mind maps had triangles. So you had a triangle at the top and it would have one topic. Let's just say gold, right? And then you would draw 3 lines off going off. So 1, 2, 3 with 3 more little diamonds or squares. Doesn't really matter. And then you would put the next word in, might be gold coins. Then the next one might be mining. Then the next one would be, something else to do with, storing gold. So you found 3 things. Now let's go back to gold coins where we've dropped down and we go gold coins. Okay, there's sovereign coins. There's American coins. There's Canadian coins. And then we can break off again and we keep breaking off. We're not going off track with what we're doing. We're still staying within the same mindset of the content that we're producing, but we're getting ideas. And it's a way to generate ideas. Once your mind starts working like that, you don't even have to make mind maps. But if you do at the very start, man, yeah, it's definitely my best tip for sure.
That's great. That's such a good tip. I'm thinking like we're at 46 minutes, Marty. It's been a bloody awesome chat. I've learned so much from it. I hope everyone who is watching live and watching in the replay has gotten as much value out of this as I have. I've got like my brain's just mind mapping all over the place, coming up with ideas.
Yeah, we left with a bang.
Yeah, that's a bloody good thing to wrap up on, I reckon. Yes, if you have gotten value out of this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you are, and only if you are interested in learning how to grow your YouTube channel, I'm going to be creating lots of tutorials and doing more of these interviews with other YouTube legends like Marty. So if you're interested in that, subscribe and hit the notification bell. That'll be awesome. Next week, I'm going to be chatting with a chocolate maker, a chocolatier from Germany, and lives in Seattle. So that's going to be amazing. I'm hoping that I'm going to be getting some of the chocolate sent to me. Maybe not. I don't know. But it should be really interesting. And she's going to be talking all about how she has used her YouTube channel to help build her business and establish her brand as a chocolatier. So that should be a bit of a bloody hoot. I'll have Marty's channel linked in the description so you can check that out, only if you're into worm farming and want to learn how to do that, become a worm wrangler. Thank you everyone so much for being here. I'm really bloody grateful to have you here, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks heaps, Marty.
Thank you. It's been a joy. Ciao.
Awesome. Bye.